Hi, everyone. Settle in, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just another school scandal. It's the story of how I went from being a dedicated high school English teacher to uncovering a decades-long betrayal that started in my own home and exploded right in my classroom. By the way, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? I love seeing where all of you are tuning in from. Let me start from the beginning. Teaching was always more than a job to me. It was my calling. I'd been working at the same high school for nearly 12 years. I taught juniors and seniors, mostly AP English, and I loved watching my students grow into sharp, passionate writers with big dreams. I prided myself on being fair, supportive, and a little strict. I didn't let much slide. I was married to my husband, Mark, for almost 15 years. He was a real estate broker, charming and social. Everyone loved Mark, especially my parents, who thought he was such a catch. I met him when I was fresh out of grad school. He was magnetic, smooth-talking, always knew what to say to make me feel special. We had had our ups and downs like any couple, but we didn't have kids. I had tried, but after several miscarriages, we gave up. Mark was always supportive, or so I thought. This story really starts the first week of the fall semester. I was reviewing essays when I noticed something strange. Two students, Nolan and Erica, had submitted nearly identical papers. Same thesis, same supporting arguments, even the same quirky typo in the third paragraph. I knew Erica. She was a strong writer. Nolan, on the other hand, was new, transferred in over the summer. He was smart, quiet, sat in the back, always wearing a hoodie. There was something about him that I couldn't quite put my finger on. It was like he was watching everything, calculating. I called Erica in first. She burst into tears and admitted she let Nolan copy because he was going through something. That was all she said. I asked her what he was going through, but she clammed up. Then I called Nolan in. He didn't deny it. He just stared at me and said, "You don't understand." His voice was low and bitter. I told him I had no choice but to report it to the Academic Integrity Board. It was policy. He shrugged and muttered, "Do what you have to do." But right as he left the room, he turned back and looked me straight in the eye and said, "You'll regret this." That should have been the end of it. But the next day, I got a message from the principal's office. Nolan's mother had requested a meeting. When I walked into the meeting room, my heart nearly stopped. Sitting across from me was a woman I recognized immediately. Her name was Vanessa. She was Mark's ex-girlfriend, the one he dated a year before he met me. The one he claimed was a little too intense, who had trust issues. I'd seen old photos of her in Mark's college albums. I never met her in person, but now here she was, older but still beautiful, and with the same piercing green eyes. She smiled coldly. "Hello, Mrs. Ellison. Or should I say, Leah?" My stomach dropped. We sat in awkward silence until the principal arrived and opened the meeting. Vanessa was cool, polished, and articulate. She said Nolan had copied the essay because he was under extreme emotional distress, that he'd just learned something devastating, that the school needed to show compassion. When the meeting ended, the principal stepped out to answer a call, leaving us alone. That's when Vanessa leaned across the table and whispered, "Ask your husband about summer '07. Ask him what really happened after that conference in Chicago." And then she walked out. I was shaken. That night, I brought it up to Mark. His face went white. He stammered, "Leah, Vanessa's just trying to mess with you. She's bitter." But something inside me said he was lying. So I did what I never thought I'd do. I dug through his old files, his emails, his photo backups. It took hours. But buried in an old Gmail folder, I found something. A photo, dated August 2007, Vanessa, visibly pregnant, standing next to Mark, his hand on her stomach. The email was from Vanessa saying, "I'm keeping him. You don't have to be involved. Just know he exists." I felt like I couldn't breathe. Nolan. Nolan was Mark's son. The son he never told me about. The son now sitting in my classroom. I confronted Mark. He broke down, said he was young and scared, that Vanessa cut him out, that he never thought Nolan would come to our city, that he didn't know he'd enrolled at my school until it was too late. But his story didn't add up. He knew. He had to have known. Over the next few days, everything spiraled. Nolan's behavior changed. He became hostile in class, started making passive-aggressive comments, smirking when I stumbled. I didn't want to report him. I felt too many emotions. Guilt, betrayal, confusion. Then it got worse. One afternoon, I stayed late grading papers. As I was walking out to the parking lot, I saw someone sitting on the hood of my car. It was Nolan. He stood up as I approached and said, "I just wanted to see the woman my dad replaced me with. He chose you. He left us. He knew about me. He just didn't care." I said, "Nolan, I had no idea. If I had known..." He cut me off. "You wouldn't have married him? Please. You probably didn't want kids anyway. You just played mom to other people's kids." That one hit hard. Then he pulled something from his pocket and tossed it at my feet. A thumb drive. He said enjoy and walked away. I took it home. I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. On it were recordings, videos, voice notes, one from Mark, dated just a few months ago, saying, "Vanessa, I can't let Leah find out. If she does, everything is over." Another was Nolan himself talking to his mom. "I'm going to make her life hell. She deserves to know what it's like to lose everything." So this was revenge. Vanessa had sent him to me, enrolled him at my school. She was orchestrating the whole thing. But why? Then I remembered something else. Mark's mother passed away last year, left behind a sizable inheritance. If Nolan could prove he was Mark's son, he could claim part of it. And if he could destroy our marriage in the process, even better. I felt trapped, betrayed on all sides. My husband, his ex, this angry, brilliant teenage boy who wanted nothing more than to ruin me. But I wasn't going to roll over. The next day, I met privately with Nolan. I told him I knew everything, that I had the thumb drive, that if he didn't stop harassing me, I would go to the school board, the police, and his college applications. He looked at me with a mix of fury and sadness. "You're just like him. Selfish, fake. You don't care about anyone but yourself." And then he left. Mark begged me to stay, said he'd come clean publicly, that we could go to counseling, that he loved me. But the damage was too deep. I filed for divorce. I transferred to a different school. And I sent that thumb drive, every last file, to the Board of Education and Mark's real estate agency. His license was suspended for ethical violations tied to misrepresentation. As for Nolan, he left school mid-year. But a few months later, I got a letter from him. It wasn't an apology, but it was something. He wrote, "I thought you destroyed my family. I didn't realize you were just another one of his lies. I guess I should be sorry for what I did, but I'm not. Not yet." And honestly, I respected the honesty. I don't know what became of him, but I know what became of me. I rebuilt. Stronger, smarter, wiser. And now every time a student tries to cheat, I smile. Because I know. Sometimes the truth is hiding in the most unexpected places, and when it surfaces, it can change your whole life. So what would you have done if you were me?